Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum. A gracious welcome to you all on the second round of the very first inter-school English debate competition organized by Bangladesh Television Chattogram Center. Debate is a formal academic competition in which students argue both sides of a given topic. I believe that the pursuit of truth and right ideas through honest debate and rigorous argument is a noble undertaking. When a student participates in debate, they're challenged to look into issues in depth and form perspectives, and through this, they become better critical thinkers. And looking at our participants here today, it looks like they're more than prepared to get started with this heating debate competition. So on that very good note, I, your host, Prapunti Chakraborty, would love to invite you all to come along and watch our very lively debate competition participated by two competed teams. Dear audience, today the selected motion for the debate competition is: dependency on technology system is the main obstacle for practicing moral virtues. The team for the motion belongs to International Hope School, Bangladesh. The team against the motion belongs to Mirzapur Cadet College. Speakers for the motion are Musammat Nasrin Akhtar Adiba, Sharif Takbir Ahmed, Faika Tasnim Chaudhary Adiba. Speakers against the motion are Cadet Farhan, Cadet Adian, Cadet Taskin. The honorable adjudicators of today's session are Adnan Hussain, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Dhaka College; Hossain Shahadat, Senior Reporter, News 24; Ahmed Reza, Vice President, Bangladesh Debate Federation. The topics on which our honorable judges are going to assign marks in the constructive round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 10, Presentation of Theory and Information 15, Argumentation and Rebuttal 10. The topics on which our honorable judges are going to assign marks in the rebuttal round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 5, Argumentation and Rebuttal 20. Dear viewers, now we would like to introduce our honorable moderator of today's program, who will conduct the entire competition and announce the results at the end. The honorable moderator of today's session is Dr. Iftikhar Uddin Chaudhary, former Vice Chancellor, University of Chittagong. Now, I would most humbly like to request you, sir, to come up on the stage and take your seat. Before we start the debate, let me inform you about the order and time allocation of each debater. Each debater will get 5 minutes to present his or her speech. An alarming bell will ring on the 4th minute, and the final bell will ring on the 5th minute. In the rebuttal round, both the team leaders will get 2 minutes each. Alarming bell will ring on 1.5 minutes, and the final bell will ring on the 2nd minute. Dear viewers, from now onwards, you can not only watch us on your television set, but also on Facebook and YouTube. Tune in on facebook.com/btvchattogram and www.youtube.com/@btvchattogram. Now, I most humbly would like to request our honorable moderator to preside over the competition and start the debate.
Respected judges, dearest participants, and all the viewers, I'd like to welcome you to this debate competition organized by Bangladesh Television Chattogram in terms of the first inter-school English debate competition 2023 is the second round. The topic of today's debate is dependency on technology system is the main obstacle for practicing moral virtue. So we have with us International Hope School, Bangladesh for the motion, and against the motion we have with us Mirzapur Cadet College. I'd like to invite Musammat Nasrin Akhtar Adiba to present her deliberations for the motion.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, and fellow debaters, I'm Nasrin Akhtar Adiba from the affirmative side, and today we gather to discuss a topic that strikes at the heart of our modern society. Dependency on technology system is the main obstacle in practicing moral virtues. A technology system refers to a collection of interconnected components, tools, and processes that work together to achieve a specific technological goal. Whereas moral virtue is the cornerstone of a just and compassionate society. It is a thin line that keeps balance between what should not be done and what should be done. It is what makes the human humane. The great philosopher Aristotle mentioned a total of 9 moral virtues like magnanimity, honesty, kindness, etc. Moral virtues are needed because they act as compass that guides us through life's intricate journey. They serve as the bedrock upon which individuals build their own characteristics and shape the societies they inhabit. In a world that can often feel fragmented and complex, moral virtues provide the much needed clarity and sense of purpose. Moral virtues have also played a crucial role in shaping societies by influencing individuals' behavior, relationships, and overall social norms. Virtues have guided people's interactions, promoting trust and cooperation within communities. They concentrate on developing strong social bonds, a sense of responsibility, and a shared understanding of right and wrong, contributing to the overall well-being and functioning of a society. The allure of technology is undeniable, offering convenience, collectivity, and efficiency. However, it is necessary for us to recognize that our increasing dependency on technology system is hindering the cultivation of moral virtues. For example, the prevalence of cyberbullying and online harassment highlights how the technology system can facilitate cruelty and undermine the moral virtue of kindness. As individuals seek validation and recognition online, they can inadvertently perpetuate a culture of competition, comparison, and cruelty. Cyberbullying thrives in this environment, as individuals resort to hurtful comments, shaming, and harassment to gain attention and reinforce their own self-worth. It also connects to the powerful influence of dopamine, which is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter. In context to our digital lives, every notification, like or messages triggers a release of dopamine in our brains, creating a sense of reward and pleasure. This constant stimulation can lead to addictive behaviors as we seek out this small burst of happiness in the virtual world. However, this addiction of technology can result in loss of focus in our real lives. Our attention becomes fragmented, jumping from one screen to another, making it difficult to concentrate on tasks or engage in more meaningful conversations. This lack of presence in our life hinder the ability to fully experience the world around us. In conclusion, while technology undoubtedly brings numerous benefits, we must consider at what cost we are getting this convenience. Thank you.
Now let me invite Cadet Farhan of Mirzapur Cadet College to make his presentation against the motion.
When I was at a public mosque a few weeks back, I left my shoes in front of the mosque as I went inside to pray. But when I came back outside, while everyone else had their shoes, mine were missing. Since technology is behind all obstructions of moral practices, maybe some robot influenced a highly moral and well-educated person into stealing shoes at the mosque. Is it not, my learned opponents? Honorable moderator, respected panel of judges, and august gathering, thank you for giving me the floor. Today's topic of debate is dependency on the technology system is the main obstacle in practicing moral virtues. And for obvious reasons, me and my team stand firmly against the motion. The first speaker of our opposition had done her absolute best trying to prove how the technology system had been the main obstacle to our moral practices. But I just can't help but ask, weren't our moral practices continually being obstructed from far before the system even existed? I believe the immoral crimes like rape, murder, and robberies were still prominent in those times. The blaming the technology system alone for our lack of self-control is not only irrational, but also disregards the complexities of human decision-making along with the historical and cultural influences. The true obstacles to moral practices root down to improper framing, self-centered perceptions, psychological tendencies, moral rationalizations, along with all such factors. And allow me to enlighten you that these factors are normalized due to illiteracy, unawareness, lack of self-controls, and ignorance towards religious beliefs. A person who never received a proper familial environment can't be expected to even understand the weightage of moral virtues, let alone actually practice them. Such a person, when he uses technology for immoral activities, can't possibly mean that technology is at fault for his demoralization. My learned opponents, doctors use alcohol to make medicine, while alcoholics take it for the sake of their addiction. Do you blame the alcohol for their addiction? The amygdala, my honorable moderator, is the part of the brain responsible for learning emotional significance. It affects the arousal reactions to environmental stimuli. When the child experiences severe forms of emotional neglect during early brain development, he naturally grows his amygdala to a bigger volume and making it more reactive. As a result, to the dopamine sensation my opponent has mentioned, the child naturally has lower self-restraint towards it. My learned opponents, would you blame technology for such a factor? The education required for a person to know about self-restraint and the importance of moral virtues come down from one's own family, or at the very least, their society. In fact, a study published in the Public Medicine Center's official website shows that 73%, and I repeat, 73% of the demoralized youth are those who have faced familial neglect in their childhood lives. This neglect causes children to grow up appearing uncaring, indifferent, and highly prone to substance abuse, risky sexual behavior, and aggression. Honorable moderator, the main aim of technological advancements is to fulfill our needs as a living being. As technology provides for our economies and basic needs, we are freed of our animalistic instincts of survival, allowing us to look into higher purposes and values. These higher purposes and values are the very things that lead to the key moral practices like wisdom, altruism, prudence, honesty, pride, and so on. My learned opponents, this very concept was explained in a more refined manner by the famed author Yuval Noah Harari in his book, The Homo Deus. So my question to you is, how is technology a barrier to moral practices in this factor? It literally provides an open stage for moral and humane advancements. Now, there are also the concerns regarding religious misconceptions. For instance, today's terrorists are those who misguide people to join them using misinterpretations from the religious scriptures. For instance, in Islam, the verse number 5 of Surah At-Tawbah from the Holy Quran is used to rationalize their activities to the general public who have no idea that this was actually a guideline for the Battle of Badr. This verse translates to slay the pagans wherever you find them and seize them. They use this verse to do incomparable violence to rationalize their activities. Do you blame technology for such factors? And with that point, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you, everyone.
Now I'd like to invite Sharif Takbir Ahmed of International Hope School, Bangladesh, to make his presentation for the motion.
Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, and my fellow debaters. I am for the motion that dependency on technology system is the main obstacle in practicing moral virtues. First of all, technology system is not only a screen or a robot. Technology system includes everything that helps us in our daily lives and that relates to technology. Let's take the air conditioner, for example. Nowadays, children ask their parents before going to a guest house whether they have an AC or not. Do we really agree that that is a very virtuous thing to do? Nowadays, children are using slangs at the age of 8 or even below that. They are cursing at every statement. They do not respect their seniors. We do not live in a dream, we are living in reality. And this is reality. Why is this happening? Why are the children not respecting their grandparents? The grandparents who brought up their parents. Let me tell you why. Children are subjected to the technology. At home, they're alone with the device and they learn from it. And one of the most disgusting things about technology is that it has more harmful effect than it has the advantages. On the internet, we find more harmful information than we find useful information. And harmful information triggers the release of dopamine. And children, young children, do not understand that. They are so small, they do not understand the cruelty of this world. We are living in a reality. We cannot say everyone is educated because they are not. Young children learn what they are taught. But nowadays, parents are at work, both parents are at work, and so they are not able to take care of their children well. The children are learning from the device, they're learning from the internet, whatever comes up on their screen. And technology does not give them the good things on the screen. They're subjected to the wrongdoings. Let's come to social media. Many people are using social media for their business campaigns, the business ads, and frauds have increased. Many frauds have increased. People want to help others because it's a virtuous thing to do. But why should we now? Why should we continue to help? Why should we continue to be good people if we know that we are going to be scammed or there's a risk of being scammed? People do not donate to the poor on the streets because they think that the people are part of a group. They're not actually poor, they're just part of a group. Isn't this hampering our practicing of moral virtues? Were we supposed to be this? I think not. Charitable organizations are scamming people. Many trusted charitable organizations are not doing what they were supposed to do. People are losing hope from moral virtues. People are losing hope from being generous. And this loss in faith could be the end of the human species. Faith is what keeps us going, and moral virtues is what keeps us human. Moral virtues determine whether we are a human or an animal. Animals don't have moral virtues. Humans do. Now there is a huge spread of misinformation due to technology. What we say is not what is heard by others due to technology. There is anonymity. People don't know who we are, and most people live a double life, one online and one offline. Can we prevent that? Can we monitor everyone around us to show that to ensure that they do not go to the wrong path? If we do that, even we are going to be affected by the wrong path. This is not easy. At the root of all of it is technology. Children are hopping onto meaningless trends which contribute nothing to their lives, and they're abandoning them just the next day. Why are they wasting their time? Why are they not improving their moral virtues? Their virtue of honesty is at risk. The good people are being undermined, and the wrong people are increasing. More people are being affected by this technology. Infants nowadays do not have a bond with their parents, do not have a bond with their mother. Why? A child of age 2 needs to be given a mobile phone to be fed. Why? The mother cannot form a bond with the child because the child is too relentless. There is stress. The mother is too tired. This is not supposed to happen. How will the child be what kind of a human will the child be when they grow up? In conclusion, I believe that technology is the main obstacle to practicing moral virtues because it is at the heart of every problem we see around us. In some way or another, everything is connected, and it roots back to technology. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Cadet Adian to make his presentation against the motion.
Learn opponents, in the response of your very question, let me tell you this. As you were stating that even the AC and everything present here, the lights, the fans, are also the part of technology system, then learn opponents, then I have a question for you. So, as you were saying, so technology system, just like any other knowledge, is a blessing, learn opposition, but like all knowledge, it's a blessing until you make it a curse. For example, you mastered nuclear chemistry with the help of technology system. Now, whether you'd like to destroy a country with nuclear bombs or develop a country with nuclear power plants is up to you and you alone, my learned opponents. Thank you, Honorable Moderator, for giving me the floor. Speaking against the motion, the first speaker of my team has already stated that it's not technology system, rather it's your mentality shaped by your familial teachings and, side by side, influence from the environment, and in their absence, it creates the obstruction of the practice of your moral virtues. Learned opponents, let me ask you a very simple question. Are you aware of the price of an egg in the market? If you don't panic, let me answer. 8 taka, 5th of August, 2023. 15 taka, 12th of August, 2023. And yes, both are the prices of a single egg, and it doubled by the end of the week, says the Daily Star. So what's the reason behind this? It's easy, syndicate. So, my learned opposition, does syndicate have any relation with technology system, or was it an act of dishonesty by a few cunning businessmen? It just requires some tricks. I won't be answering this time around, the question remains. So, adding to those points, I would like to add that sometimes lack of implementation of laws by the government and lack of cultural awareness also plays a key role in the obstruction of the practice of moral virtues. Honorable Moderator, according to an official website of LinkedIn, it was found just only in TikTok, Bangladeshi users spend 1 hour, 5 minutes daily on average. Meanwhile, the country from the app emerged, China. They introduced some smart tech laws. For example, learned opposition, if you were residing in China today, then you wouldn't be able to enter the app from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Again, for the users under the age of 14 and the age of 14, you wouldn't able to exceed the time limit of 40 minutes. There are certain barriers. So we see that the cultural influence and sometimes even the implementation of laws plays a great role in the practice of our moral virtues. Flipping on the other side of the coin, Honorable Moderator, technology system has many positive sides. For example, if you look at many religious scholars and spiritual leaders of today's time, people like Sadhguru, Zakir Naik have earned their reputation as trustworthy moral guides through the help of technology system. So, learned opposition, would you still be accusing technology system? Question remains. Another real-time example, Honorable Moderator, Singapore. In LCI, Least Corruption Index, Singapore started third in globally. Again, in FTRI, Frontier Tech Readiness Index, Singapore stood second globally. So we say, according to the global reports, Singapore is corruption-free, that is morally virtuous, and side by side, highly tech-dependent. So it's a real-life example which you can't simply deny. Learned opposition, you were talking about social media as I was hearing of. You know, just like all the platforms, you could blame me with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but whatever they might be, learned opposition, they share something in common. Honorable Moderator, that's called algorithm. So what's algorithm? Basically, they will check what kind of genre you like. They will see what kind of friend circles you're bounded with those types of platforms, and they will regard that what kind of search history you have. And basing on those, Honorable Moderator, they will reveal you the contents. The contents never arrive from the thick air. So it's your mentality that will tell you how you're going to use the technology, not the technology that it will predict how your moral virtues are going to be. So you see, again, that moral virtues are actually highly shaped by those same factors at the end of the day, the cultural awareness, implementation of laws, familial teachings, and also environmental influence. It is very sure, Honorable Moderator, that the technology system is never the main barrier in the practice of moral virtues. Thank you, Honorable Moderator. Thank you all.
Now I like to call upon Faika, Tasneem Chaudhary, Adiba, the team leader, to speak for the motion from International Hobby School, Bangladesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and my fellow debaters, today we stand united in our exploration of a profound quandary that is our motion. Dependency on technological systems is the main obstacle to practicing of our moral virtues, and we have enough reason to believe so. As we navigate the vast sea of innovation, we must carefully balance the scales between progress and our ethical compass. Over the course of my address, I will dissect three pivotal facets of this discourse: the insatiable quest of attention stoked by technology and social media, the uneven equilibrium between the advantages and drawbacks of our technological systems, and the certain erosion of cultural individuality amidst the tide of multicultural influences. Esteemed judges, we live in an era where every notification resonates like a siren's call, beckoning us to come and seek validation through technology and social media. These platforms, designed to facilitate connection, have metamorphosized into arenas for competition of likes, shares, and comments. In this race, our virtue of humility takes a back seat as we meticulously craft and curate digital personas. The eminent philosopher David Hume aptly observed, "Virtue is more to be feared than vice, because its excesses are not subject to the regulation of our conscience. Our ceaseless hunger for online affirmation risks the eclipsing of our moral principles." Esteemed judges, yes, we cannot deny that the allure of technological marvels are irresistible, but we can't either disregard the shadow that is cast by their shortcomings. A recent study from Pew Research Center unveils a startling truth. A staggering 64% of users feel overwhelmed by the deluge of online information. Source: Pew Research Center, 2023. A study conducted by the University of Michigan found that the excessive screen time and reliance on digital communication are correlated with a decline in face-to-face social skills, leading to reduced empathy and interpersonal communication and understanding. Source: University of Michigan Study, 2019. Our lives are entwined with an incessant torrent of data, and this is often the cost of nurturing genuine human connections and fostering ethical conversation and contemplation. Furthermore, the World Health Organization also underscores a disconcerting trend, that is the surge in digital addiction leading to a decline in overall mental well-being. Source: WHO, 2022. While technological advancement does afford convenience, it simultaneously unleashes a barrage of distractions, undermining our ability to practice virtues like patience and focus. Esteemed judges, in this grand tapestry of human evolution, technology weaves both wonder and woe. It is incumbent upon us to recognize that unchecked dependence on technological systems will cast a shadow over our moral virtues. As we traverse the digital realm, we encounter a paradox. The very technology uniting us on a global scale also threatens to dilute our cultural identities. Our unique traditions have to stand vulnerable to the eroding force of cross-cultural influences, which is why I could not agree more with you, First Speaker. The renowned author Salman Rushdie once mused, "What is freedom of expression? Without the freedom to offend, it ceases to exist." Similarly, the freedom to preserve and celebrate our cultural individuality is paramount, lest we blur into an indistinct mosaic of global trends. It has given us fresh avenues to express who we are, but before all these gadgets and gizmos, we weren't as easily influenced by others. But now, with all these tech toys, it seems like we are the ones who are being controlled. A study published in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence revealed that adolescents who experienced cyberbullying were more likely to exhibit aggressive behavior, indicating a troubling link between digital connections and a decline in moral compassion. Source: Journal of Youth and Adolescence, 2018. In sum, technology does bestow undeniable benefits. However, its over-reliance risks jeopardizing our moral fabric of our society, our community, by impeding virtues such as empathy, honesty, and kindness. The remarkable expansion of light in the wake of technological advancement, this omnipresent light symbolizing progress, casts greater shadows on our moral virtues. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let us reflect on the wisdom of the past. Socrates once said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." However, in today's age and era, and unexamined technological dependency is not worth embracing. The frenzied pursuit of attention, the sobering imbalance between tech benefits and detriments, the delicate dance between cultural exchange and preservation all point to a single truth. Our reliance on technological systems is indeed the chief impediment to our practicing moral virtues. Thank you.
Now I call upon Cadet Taskin, the team leader against the motion from Mirzapur Cadet College.
First speaker of my opponent seemed to think that technology is the mischievous troublemaker behind all immoral acts, pointing fingers at cyberbullying and privacy slip-ups. But hang on a second, these glitches aren't baked into technology's code, rather it's the product and reflection of our own human behavior and our own mindset. Thank you, Honorable Moderator, for giving me the floor, speaking against the motion. Now, my honorable opponents, please select a main topic. When your second speaker is talking about that technology is disgusting and it has more harmful sides than the good sides, the third speaker is talking about that it has a lot of good sides. So I can decide what you are talking about. Then again, the second speaker talked about the child being addicted to mobile phone. But, honorable opponents, when you give your 3-year-old child a mobile phone from that age, it's due to parental neglect that he will be addicted to the mobile phone. If he does not eat because of being addicted to the mobile phone, it's the parental neglect, because why did that parents give him that mobile phone when he did not need them? My opponents seem to blame for technology for harming our moral virtues, but let me say one thing, that when in the middle of the night you urgently will need blood, there will be no donors, the blood bank is completely empty, then the first thing you will do is either call someone or post it on social media. In both the cases, you have to depend on technology. If you don't, your life will be at risk. Dear audience, we saw that the famous YouTuber named Mr. Beast in 2019 planted 1 million trees and posted it on YouTube. As a result, it got a massive support and he was able to plant more than 19 million trees within just a few months. Opponents, in both the cases, we depended on technology and it did not obstruct our moral virtues, rather it enhanced our practice of moral virtues. Ladies and gentlemen, depending on these very technology, movements like hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag MeToo have gained massive support. In 2020, within only 14 days, 45 million plus posts were dedicated to hashtag Black Lives Matter. And as a result, the discrimination against the black people in the following 3 years were reduced by almost 3 times. Source, New York Times. My opponents believe technology is an obstacle, but just look at Denmark, New Zealand, Finland. Talking about Denmark, it stands as the 3rd most morally upright countries of the world, and it also tops the rank of the most technologically advanced and technology-based countries of the world. And on the other side of the coin, the most corrupted countries like South Sudan, Sierra Leone, and Zimbabwe are actually the least technology-based countries of the world, based on the report of Global Report transparency.org.com. So, honorable opponents, my question is, how does technology stand as an obstacle and why does not it obstruct the moral virtues in Denmark? And where do you find technology obstructing the moral virtues in South Sudan when they don't even have it? My question remains. Honorable opponents, we see that the arms the defenses use, the records the police protects, the data the special services gather are all dependent on technology. And when technology is playing the lead role in protecting and safeguarding our moral virtues, how can you blame it for obstructing it? My question remains. The second speaker for the motion talked about that technology is disgusting. You say that is the root of all harmful things. But let me tell you one thing, that if the police says that defenses did not safeguard us, we won't be able to practice our moral virtues. And I don't see how you can say it's a disgusting thing when it saves so much children, it protects the woman, it protects robberies, it protects so many other things. Dear audience, the third speaker talked about that the advancement of technology is shadowing our moral virtues. But we see, dear audience, dear moderator, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's dream and our Honorable Sheikh Hasina's dream of a digital Bangladesh is never possible without depending on technology. And many other intellectuals want us to be digitally upgraded so that we can use and practice our moral virtues more and more. So, how do you think that they want us to be morally degraded? My question remains. You see, a study led by the University of Massachusetts professor Anthony Harris found that US crime rates and murder rates could have been 3 times higher, I repeat, 3 times higher, if it were not for advances in communication and medical technology. Honorable moderator, I want to say once again that we are saying that technology dependence is never the main obstacle, but rather the main obstacle which hinders the practice of moral virtues is our own self-consciousness and our own lack of parenting. Renowned socialist Machiavelli and Hobbes and also James Harris found that education actually affects our moral behavior, our sense of justice, and what we act based on different situations. Dear opponents, let's not take technology as a hindrance in practicing moral virtues, rather practice and enhance a new journey toward embracing and practicing moral virtues in a more interconnected world. And dear opponents, if you're still sticking to the notion that technology is the ultimate party pooper for all moral virtues, I kindly suggest you leave the stage, because the microphones are eavesdropping, the camera's on, the spotlight's still shining. So if you stick around, maybe they will obstruct your moral virtue practice. Thank you very much.
Now this is a time for refuting the arguments. First of all, I like to call upon Faika Tasneem Chaudhry Adiba to speak for the motions as team leader.
It was great hearing all the opinions of our opposition team. However, before we delve into global impacts and the foreign media, shall we not begin with ourselves? Because, after all, it is our society, our community that we must build up in a global competition. So why not focus on which fertilizer suits our own crops best? I see our opposition team once and again going to the same familiar comfort of saying that it is upon the person who is using technology and not technology itself. Well, USA also said that it's guns who kill, not the people. I mean, it's the people who kill, not the guns. And I don't think the school shootings have decreased much. It's up to you to research. And I doubt that the father of our nation would dream of a tech economic Bangladesh shrouded in carnage with the latest methods of vices. I think it is our moral virtue which comes first. And it is important for us to realize that we have to differentiate between technology's role as an enabler and its potential to impede moral virtues. Circling back to the second speaker, yes, we do have our algorithm, of course, because we are so advanced in our technologies, but once you open a brand new account and you go to the homepage of any website, what do you find? We haven't searched anything yet. The first thing you find is the trending page. What have the people in your country searched the most this week? What do your mutual friends watch? What do the friends of your friends and the community all over the world prefer to see? That's what we are being subjected to. We have to monitor people who are using technology in a disadvantageous way. But what about the people who are going to monitor them and being influenced? It is important to Furthermore, it is important to understand the distinction between virtual empathy and genuine in-person empathy. The study from the Journal of Youth, as I mentioned, proves it better than I. Online campaigns and forums often prove a point for the global media that they have been progressing. However, do you find many people coming to help you in the middle of the night when all of your 1 million followers are asleep? Thank you.
In terms of refuting these arguments, now I call upon Cadet Tasneem, the team leader from Mirzapur Cadet College, against the motion.
Honorable moderator, for giving me the floor again. The first speaker of our opponents talked about cyberbullying, hate comments, etc. But the person who is committing cyberbullying and doing hate comments is already virtually and morally degraded. And that's why he's using technology as his means to practice his immoral acts. You cannot blame that technological dependence is the obstacle here. And the second speaker of our opponent already talked about that when you give your child a phone to eat, he cannot eat his food without his phone. He becomes addicted to it. He does not listen to his parent. But weren't his parents at fault for giving him the technology at that young age? My question, I know I won't get the answer. Then you talked about the double life we lead. But we see that double life, we don't lead it only on social media, but also in real life. What a person talks to you about, he can also backbeat you, my learned opponent. This does not only happen in social media, it happens in real life as well. You cannot neglect this. And then the third speaker talked about the excessive screen timing of various social media and various apps. But let me tell you something. My second speaker already talked about that TikTok in China, we cannot access it at night. You cannot overlimit the time limit of 40 minutes. So we see that the excessive timing is not the fault of that technological advancement, but rather is the fault of our own laws. If we had implemented the laws, we were still aware, we would be able to use them over the time limit. Then again, you said that cultural change is not a good thing, but I repeat, cultural change is a very important thing for practicing moral virtues, because once the culture was in our country that women should not be educated, but for being influenced by other cultures, now the women are educated. This is a positive change, and there are many positive changes like this. You talked about many things, but let me talk that this topic is not bounded within our country, but the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Now let us wait for the results. Meanwhile, I like to say that you see the whole globe and the Bangladesh nation, our beloved Bangladesh as well, looking for the young people like you who will be the pathfinders in the future, and for the not only for nation or for the citizens of the nation, but for the whole globe as well. So the arguments you have just presented, I think is quite impressive, and I am really impressed to see your intellects, to see your arguments, to see your, pronunciation, to see your language using. All those things are really incredible to me. At the same time, I like to see all of you to be more growing, yourself, to lead the country in near future, how we have to see the country, and we like to see the country in terms of the ideology of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and also our great liberation war of this sector. Meanwhile, I like to say that, you see, as per our former Indian President, APJ Abdul Kalam, he said, dream is not what we see in sleep. Dream is that thing that doesn't let us sleep. I think you people are now on the track that you are not going for dream, seeing the dream or feeling the dream as well, not as apart from this kind of reality. But you know that Socrates said, knowledge is virtue. What knowledge is virtue? Why he said knowledge is virtue? You have to understand that the education and knowledge is a big difference. It's a quite diverse opponent. If the education, we can't transform the education to the knowledge, it can't be a virtue. And what means virtue? Means you have to feel the pain of others. If you don't feel the pain of others, you can grow the feeling for the others, then your education cannot be transformed to the knowledge. That was said by our great educationist, the founder of the education arena in the whole globe from the beginning, as per Socrates, what he said. Then he said knowledge is virtue, knowledge is power. If the knowledge becomes virtue, then knowledge becomes the power. So you can rule the whole nation, whole world in your terms, what you said at the youngs. So thank you very much. Let me wait for the results. I think the result is ready from the judges. Okay, there is result in my hand. Winner team of today is Mirzapur Cadet College. The best speaker is the second speaker of opposition, Cadet Adian, right? So thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Very splendid, very prolific, and very, very generative. You have produced in that way that you can get more lesson from you people. Thank you very much.